As a private sector, we already have a facility. We can only work together, partner, and have this information center where we can have both digital and physical information to the tourists, to stakeholders. It also will also act as a nerve center for data collection and research, innovation, and marketing, which is very key. One of the things that we are lacking in the industry is the issues of data. So if we work together, we can have it there. And also another problem that we are currently getting is there's so many students asking for attachment. Where do they go? How do they get these linkages, the opportunities in the industry? We can use that tourist information center as a place to incubate this so that the stakeholders can be able to get people who are doing attachment, industrial attachment, and the jobs, and also innovations. I'm happy Mahmoud is here, and we are having an innovation center at Swahili Port. So we want to remodel one for tourism alone. Then we can work we can develop the CIT facility, the KCTA facility, sorry. Another thing that we are proposing is that tourism industry was affected so much by the COVID, and also the industry is so dynamic. As you get in, for us to have more energy, just the first 6 months, you can have an ad hoc committee. And this is a revitalization committee. The current government, we had proposed such a committee, but it was never gazetted. This is an ad hoc committee to just give a direction and look at areas that we can leverage on. Another thing is on the pending bills. Government is one of our key clients in terms of conferences, meetings. A number of hotels are still chasing on the pending bills with the current government. When you get in place, we need you to fast track the payment of all pending bills and restructure Mombasa County public procurement processes so that we don't have people giving a conference facility, 3 million, you've invested your capital, but nothing in return. So we need to work on that. And then the current issue, another emerging issue that the chairman even talked about is water sport and kite surfing experience, new levies by KWS. I think that is making the destination more expensive. We need to jointly lobby. And currently still a member of parliament. I don't think if they have, you're still a member of parliament, and also the chair of the Public Investment Committee. Maybe even the gentleman here representing the kite surfing will need to see how we can even push through leverage on his current office and push for this. Another thing is cultural and historical immersion. The issue of Old Town. We sell Mombasa because of history and culture, most of the Old Town. But now, currently, most operators are unable to take their clients in Old Town because of security. We need to look at how do we handle that so that we are able to go back to that itinerary that covered the Old Town, Fort Jesus, and all that. And the community tourism experiences like the Akamba, the Bombolulu, we really need to work in partnership and see how we can support and revive them. And lastly is on still on the cultural immersion. We used to have the carnival, the festival. Maybe we just need to relook on how do we work on this and even make it better and better. I promised to take 10 minutes. I'm told I've taken 8 minutes. So that's it. But we have a memorandum on the same that we'll be giving a hard copy. So without much further ado, let me return the mic to the chairman to take over. Thank you so much.
You are before Excellency. Before you become an excellency, what is it? You are? Honorable. Oh, he's still a minister. Why? Mheshimiwa. That's easy. One thing they talked about, if you're looking at the historical and cultural tourism, I am privy to meetings I've had with the Portuguese government, with the Italian government, with USAID, who want to put in a lot of money into the promotion of cultural and heritage tourism in the coast, in the 6 provinces. So this, again, is something that we should push. They are ready to support Old Town in terms of infrastructure. I'm not so worried, really, about security, because I know that is something that you can do in the first 1 week. We have priorities here. There are some things here that will take long, but some things, like open sky policy, just must be pushed immediately. In fact, we were going to picket sometime back. We were going to picket, and we're still organizing for this. Gladly, we are hearing that the national government is talking about open skies. They really don't understand exactly what we mean by open skies, but good to have Mohammed, who's able to articulate the things that we are looking for. In some of the things that Julius mentioned, it had already been happening. The training of the beach operators, wherever they will be, and some of the things he said, they're already happening. So we just need you to support us, that when you come in, please continue with this. Before I call Mohammed, I'd like to call Chairman of CATO, who wanted to say one or two things. Some of our people are very combative, so that's tourism. And then one other resource person who's got a lot of knowledge, especially on the issues, is Patrick. So he just might want to say one thing about the flights which are asking to come to Mombasa. Now, okay, I will not preempt because Mohammed will talk about figures and what just opening the open skies can do for this county. You know, we've got figures. We've got the millions of shillings that will come in. And we don't want to spend that million of shillings on paying to watch the sunset on the beach.
Thanks, Victor. Mheshimiwa, and everybody here. As we've said, and Victor opened, that we are all one. We are all in one industry, but we all have the right to differ. Our opinions may differ, and they will differ. Like KCTA's opinion about beach traders and CATO's, Kenya Association Tour Operators' opinion on beach traders totally varies. For the single aspect that when we've done our research, we've realized that there's about 6,000 beach traders who are actually affecting directly a possible of 50 to 60,000 jobs in hotels. And yes, KCTA has tried to, through legitimizing and through training of these beach traders, discipline them and stuff. But currently, I was speaking to Mr. Tuva earlier. If you look at this stretch of the North Coast beach, we are looking at less than 200 tourists on this beach at the moment. If you have 200 tourists and you have 1,000 beach traders, all desperate to find a buck so they can go home and feed their families, there will be definite conflicts and definite, like 5 people approaching somebody walking on a beach. That person is not going to be comfortable. I keep getting asked as the chair of CATO, why does Zanzibar get more tourists than us? Why are competing neighboring destinations getting more tourists than us? Why are we not attracting a younger demographic of tourists? Why are we attracting a 70, 80, 60-year-old tourist? Because, number one, hotels cannot demand the rates that they wish to demand. Yes, the MICE product, Whitesands, Pride Inn, you guys are doing very well with the MICE product. But what happened to Mombasa? What happened to Mombasa when it was an entertainment center, when it was a cultural center, when it was a culinary center? Have we moved to becoming a business-orientated market? We are no longer a leisure market because tourists do not have the luxury of relaxation and recreation on our beaches. We need to return that. We need to return a culinary experience in Mombasa. We need to return an experience-orientated thing to Mombasa if we want to be active in tourism in the next 10 to 12 years. Otherwise, we're killing Mombasa as a tourist destination for the benefit of Kilifi County and for the benefit of Kwale County, because these counties are growing in tourism while we die. Bonavictor talked about, and Julius talked about, movement in Mombasa. Currently, if we cannot operate city tours, which was a very popular excursion for tourists in Mombasa, mainly because of tuk-tuks, boda-bodas. We're not saying remove them. We're saying zone them. So you have a zone where you restrict maybe 200-300 tuk-tuks to each zone. Yes, they pay a license fee, I'm told, of 2,000 shillings per month, which earns the county of Mombasa a lot of revenue, which, again, we cannot deprive the county of. But there has to be a system where we can control them so tourists also feel comfortable when in Mombasa. Today in the world, cycling tourism is one of the biggest growing products and fastest growing products in the world. But we cannot sell cycling tourism in Mombasa. Not so much because of safety, but because of the risk of being knocked down by a tuk-tuk or a matatu who's driving really badly. Open skies is extremely important. We cannot address that enough. What we have suggested, this is quite, what would you call it? This is quite a serious proposal. And we propose Kongoya Market be moved out of where it is currently located. It be moved to somewhere like Bonje, and then you have cold rooms. I've seen one of your proposals is to have a cold room and a fish market somewhere. If you could have a cold room near Bonje so it accesses the airport and provides that service. And then the area of which is Kongoya Market could create what we want to create as a cottage industry market so that the beach traders can be moved there, as well as honey, people who have honey, people who make kiondos, people who make vikapu and all that. And we promise, as Kenya Association of Tour Operators Coast, to free of charge take all our tourists that are willing to go on a city tour to the modern part of Mombasa, the modern market, which this could be, and the ancient market, which could be Mackinnon Market. It would work. It works all over the world. So why not here? We talked about the culinary. And apart from that, I would just like to thank you for allowing us this opportunity to present our views. We've also got a memorandum for you. We'll give it to you after. Thank you very much.
What we're going to do is we are going to put them together so that we've got one document, not 12 documents that we want to give you. I can't even read my own handwriting. You know that KTB is becoming a directorate in the Ministry of Tourism. And so will the Kenya National Convention Bureau. It means in destination marketing, we'll have a lot of, what is the word? We'll have opportunity to play a big role, the county to play a big role in destination marketing. Recently, through KCTA, we came up with destination coast. We came up with logos that have been accepted in all the counties. But coast, Mombasa is the hub. So let's push this, and I'll allow Hasnain to talk a bit about destination marketing, because you've seen he's been quite strong in marketing. I'd like to call Carter. Before Carter, I'd like to recognize the chairman of the beach operators and the chairman of the boat operators. Sorry, I did not recognize you when you came. Pole. Patrick. Had my question. Yeah, I'm trying to say, if the Mtarajiwa governor is going, and then I was going to ask a question, and people are already answering. This is what is one of the problems with government. Before you ask the answer, okay? So I was saying, if the Mtarajiwa governor is going, I am glad that we still have the deputy here to listen.
Mine is very, very short. As we all know, the charter market has died all over the world. All charter companies are locking up, and scheduled airlines are taking over. And the reason why scheduled airlines are taking over, the people who are traveling have changed. They don't want to buy a package for 2 weeks and be locked at 2 weeks. They want to have a chance to leave at any moment's notice if something has happened in their family and all that. Before, with a charter airline, you'll have to buy a brand new ticket for them to get them out. And that is why we are really advocating for the open sky policy. And we need the local government, the county government, to really work with us to push the national government to open this. Without direct airline coming in, we are dead. We have several airlines that have really pushed us. Turkish Airline, just the other day, they had promised everybody they're landing here. The license was yanked out in front of their eyes. Emirates Airline, they were here with us the other day. KLM, they're actually with me in about 3 days' time here in Mombasa. Qatar Airways were here in March, scouting and finding out, can we come back? Rwanda Air were with me yesterday, and they were scouting. They were here last week and yesterday. Air Arabia was pushing some years ago to have a Mombasa-Dubai flight. And you know what that can do for Mombasa? People coming in from Middle East down here, from India, from other places. Yeah, I have a history with Sharif Nasser, you may not even remember. We always meet at the airports and have a few talks, but the funny thing is, in 1991, his father drove into my father's compound, picked me, and took me to my first job at Four Seasons. I don't know why he did that, but so I have a kind of a history with them. So we are asking about the open sky policy. We have about 6 airlines already pushing to come in. And this is Turkish Airline, Emirates, KLM, Qatar, Rwanda Air, and even Air Arabia, and Fly Dubai. Before we had Qatar Airways, we had Turkish, we had Rwanda, they were flying out of here. And trust me, the numbers that were arriving into Mombasa, and also for the people from Mombasa, being able to leave Mombasa to go to places directly out of Mombasa was so awesome. And suddenly, all that was yanked out for reasons best known to the government. Currently, we have Ethiopian, we have Lufthansa, we have Uganda Airlines for the East African market, and we have 540, which is going to Zanzibar, but it's almost dead for their own personal reasons. So again, we have almost a nil market coming in because there are no direct flights. Without a direct flight, you won't get passengers coming in. You won't get the market to fill the beds. You need an airline coming from Germany to land here. You need an airline coming from Istanbul to land here. You need an airline coming from Middle East to land here. When those guys go to travel agents and tour operators overseas, they first ask, is there an airline landing in that city you're sending me to? When you start telling them, we'll take you first to Nairobi or Entebbe, then here, they run away. And I was with the Tanzanians and Rwandans on Friday, and they are winning the game. Trust me, Rwanda Air is the next leader in this market. They have almost taken in all aspects, apart from even airline, tourism, everything. And it's because the president listens, and then he looks at it and sees that it's workable. We have our national carrier. I respect them. I love them. They are our airline. Without them, we'll not have numbers. But when you look around and see countries in East Africa that never had an airline, suddenly all of them have, because they had to work with partnership with international airlines that were coming direct to their countries. And it has worked out. Why are all the tourists going to Tanzania? I had 7 Germans landing yesterday in Mombasa. Only for one night. There was a wedding this morning. And in the evening, they left for Tanzania. 7 days package. Why? Why don't they want? There is also a question that we have to ask. I asked them why, and they told me they had to go 2 trips to reach to Mombasa. And they felt that that expense was too high, and it's cheaper out there in Tanzania. The taxes that are put in Kenya make our package too expensive, both by the national government and the local government. So that needs to be looked into. Asanteni sana.
That is 4 minutes down to 18 minutes. I just want to say one thing. If you look at the manifesto that has been presented, Hasneen, if you look at the manifesto that has been presented, and I was telling His Excellency, Mheshimiwa, that there is no word tourism mentioned. Actually, there is no word tourism mentioned. However, it is also good to know that in the manifesto, a lot of what we are asking for is covered. So we are giving him a very easy time. He'll come here and say, it's covered here. This one is covered here. But me, because we are talking about tourism, want to see tourism. You've said a lot of things which are fantastic and what we're asking for. But there's nothing mentioning tourism. Okay, so please mention tourism, if it can be changed. There are 2 more people that we want to call, and please observe the 4 minutes. We have, and I've heard you say that you're going to be very gender sensitive. And as men, we are also starting to suffer because the women are taking over everything. However, we've got the chairperson of the, you see chairman, eh? Ni chairperson, eh? Chairperson of the Kenya Association of Women in Tourism. I think she had 1 or 2 things she wanted to say. 4 minutes, please. No. We're going for dinner after this, and we don't want dinner to go till midnight, so we will not allow Walter.
Tatu.
Walter, sit down. We allow you.
Like this.
Because there's nothing mentioned about what I'm representing as a director.
We will allow Walter to speak. I was joking. Walter, please speak.
Okay. Good evening once again. My name is Janet Chamia, the chairperson of the Kenya Association of Women in Tourism. Governor Mtarajiwa, what I would request in your forthcoming government, Victor, can I talk? Is to have a lot of women in your government. We need to be represented. No one can talk about our issues unless we talk ourselves. Men don't know what is affecting us, but when you have women in your government, then we can champion and do advocacy for the issues that are affecting women. And you know, there is that directive by the government or globally, every government or any institution needs to have women as leaders. The other issues, I think, that have been talked, we were, I was one of them who are putting the memorandum in place, and we are sure to support your government. We as women will make sure we support your government. 2 minutes or 1 minute? So I just want to leave at it like that, and then we give Walter, because I think he's very mad with Victor, to say something. I took 2 minutes. Thank you.
Excellent. He threatened to walk out because he doesn't take a joke. Then I offered him to walk out because I was still joking. But one of the things that Janet has said is there are things only women understand, but it is true, men don't understand women. There was a document that has been prepared. I think it is 29,462 pages about trying to understand women. Men, please get it and go through it. And it's not finished. That is only part 1. So please have the women as they've asked in government. I'd like to call Walter. Walter, 4 minutes. I'd also like to recognize Monica, who's the previous chairperson for Kato. Yes, Monica. There hasn't been problems.
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Abdul. Just for the ones who don't know me, my name is Avalda Raif. I'm the former national chairman, founder member PERAC, Pubs Entertainment Western Association of Kenya, and I'm a director in KAHC for the last 17 years. And I just quickly, we go back many years, Honorable, yeah, when you also were with your radios and all that, had it at my tempo, the functions, many, many, many years. And that brings me exactly to what was missing in this presentation, and that is what made Mombasa great all those years ago when we were all younger. Yeah? People in Nairobi, upcountry, came down to Mombasa. Mombasa Raha. There is no more Raha in this town. And we need to bring that back. We must admit, we don't have the nice beaches like they have in the South Coast or Malindi. We don't have. Yeah? We have a lot of traffic here. So what else do we have? We used to have entertainment, good food, good cultural, good adult entertainment, bars, westerns, name it. And that made the people to come here, and he can go out. It is not only about beach and safari. We have to bring that life back. You know the clubs which were there all that time ago, yeah? And we have to do something in that direction. So that, first of all, as my capacity as a director of PERAC. For KAHC, I agree totally with the bed levy, yeah, which was coming in. It is a double taxation. There is something similar coming on the bars entertainment. Yeah, where they also want to do from Parliament double taxation, yeah, with the industrial levy and the catering levy. We have some issues which we need to sort out there. And we want to create more jobs, more places, more establishment, getting in much more employment. And I think we need to work together. And that was a good thing what he said, that we have that committee or a group sitting together from day one, yeah, to bring all the issues on the table, yeah, discuss them, see the way forward, what we can do with them. So I think I even have half a minute time. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. We are looking at time, please. 2 more speakers, actually 3, because I've been asked by, again, to be gender sensitive. So the speakers will be Jennifer, representing the Kite. Please make it short. We know we are hitting you with a lot of things, Mheshimiwa. But then, as we sit down, we can prioritize them. This is 1, this is 2, this is long term, this is very long term. Because I don't think you're coming in only once. You are coming in twice. So you'll have 10 years to look at these things. Okay. So I cannot just talk like this, alafu usiingie mara mbili tafadhali. Jennifer.
Thanks so much for having us here and for listening. I'm representing Pepea Kite School and the kite surfing community of Mombasa. People might think this is a small group and a niche space. There are 50 million kiters in the world. That is the population of Kenya. Kiting is an up-and-coming sport. I heard from our colleagues about making Mombasa a tourism destination for young people. Kiting is one of the things that people want to do. And in fact, Kenya is very blessed in that we have a coastline that's really amenable to kiting. People want to come here from all over the world, but at the same time, they have choices. They can go to Tanzania, and they are. And so we're really affected right now because the Kenya Wildlife Service has put in a fee that affects all water sports in the parks and reserves. This fee was never there before. There was no stakeholder consultation. It's going into place on July 1st. And I noticed in your manifesto that you talk about wanting to create jobs for youth. 44% unemployment amongst the youth in Mombasa, and in particular, a notice about sports as a way for youth to become active. Pepea Kite School was started by a local guy in Kenya. He had no job. He didn't have a chance to go to university. He built up this business himself, and he's been coaching youth, and in fact wants to send kiters to the Olympic sports from Kenya. He's got a lot of youth there. Now, here's what happens when that fee goes in place. He loses the international tourists. Why? They go to Zanzibar. They don't have to come here. He loses the locals who are using the kites for a sporting institution. He has membership. Their parents are bringing their kids into kiting. When you lose the parents, you lose the kids. His business shuts down, and he has 3 kids. And also, as a person who's resided in Kenya for the last 18 years and considers Kenya home, at some point you start questioning yourself, why am I here in Mombasa anymore? I can't even use the ocean. And I just want to say in my last 30 seconds that I'm a marine conservationist, I'm a marine biologist. I've actually devoted my career to conservation. I don't care about anything more than conserving our marine spaces. I support Kenya Wildlife Service. But any decisions that affect the economy of the coast have to be talked about to the coastal stakeholders. And it's not just a kiting issue. It's an issue for the boat operators. It's an issue for the people selling curios on the beach. In Watamu, they've already documented losses of $200,000 of revenue through cancellations of tourists due to the KWS fees. And this is happening right now. So I know that maybe your term is coming in the future, but there's certain things that are just too important to bypass. And so we came here today as a community to bring this to the table. Asante sana.
Thank you. When I kept coming near you, it's not that I was asking you to finish. It's just that I needed a photo with you. Huh? So, please. No, ni kweli. I want to call Hasnain to come and talk about mice. Because right now, do you know that between today and up to 12th of July, almost all the big hotels are completely full. In fact, some are overbooked. And it's mice business. Okay, schools are closing down. So schools are closing, so business is coming in, but mice is doing very well. So this is something that has got to be picked up. Both Whitesands and Pride Inn are very big on mice, but there's a lot more that we can do. So I just want Hasnain to talk about mice a bit and about destination marketing, and then we'll call Mohammed after that.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Thank you very much for being here. And we say that this is great, and this shows the commitment, the fact that you're here to listen to us. I'll be very quick. You know, one of the key things is that as much as we all know the benefits of tourism, I would still try to emphasize it. Today, if tourism, whether MICE or leisure, if we are at the peak and assume every hotel is at 90% occupancies, do we realize that hotels purchase everything, hotels and tourism-related companies purchase everything under the roof? Whether they're talking about vegetables, meats, hardware, furniture, oils, dry goods, there is nothing that hotels and tourism-related companies do not buy under the roof. So if hotels are 90% occupied today and tourism is busy, do you know the kind of pull demand we are going to create on every single industry in Mombasa? Apart from that, hotels and tourism-related products are very people-oriented. The moment we are at our peak and we are at our busy, automatically employment will be huge. The number of casuals that we employed, the beach boys, the challenges they're talking about, the beach boys, everyone becomes busy and there's good money flowing. The fact that hotels are busy, industries will be created a pull effect. Think about it. If today the amount of oils, rice and all fuel products and all these products that are being used, our industries will not have the capacity to even export because the kind of demand that will be created within Mombasa is going to be crazy, which will mean further employment. Question is, how do we achieve that 90% occupancies? Mheshimiwa, there are only two things. All right, there's conference tourism, leisure tourism. The moment I opened your manifesto and I saw conference tourism, I was extremely excited because that's something that is really going to do. But if you're looking at leisure tourism, if you just go back to basics. Within the leisure tourism, what exactly are we offering in Mombasa? Our experiences in Mombasa is dead. We don't have experiences. If you look at our Mombasa CBD, it has become a car bazaar. So what exactly are we showing our guests here? All right, we talked about the old town, we talked about security. We have, and apart from that, we also have various other experiences that have not been highlighted. So to be able to get the leisure tourism element itself, we need to start thinking about what are the kind of experiences that we want to showcase currently within Mombasa itself. And this is where it is. Mheshimiwa, I think it was a year ago, along with KCTA, we created, we rebranded Mombasa, and we recreated a logo for Mombasa. All right, well, we recreated a logo for the Kenya coast, where we had Mombasa, a separate logo for Mombasa, Diani, Malindi, Watamu, Lamu, and Taita Taveta. And we were trying to position these various destinations with their specialities. Let me start looking at it. We were looking at positioning Mombasa as a leisure cum business destination, Diani as a family destination, Malindi as an entertainment destination, Watamu as a marine destination, Lamu as a cultural destination. But if you look at it as a joint, even if you look at Mombasa in general, we have several experiences, several areas that we can showcase. But who talks about Mombasa at the moment in the international world? Apart from us hotels and apart from tour operators, no one else talks about Mombasa and the various experiences we have in Mombasa. So how are we going to do this? All right, how are we going to even start receiving tourists? The point is, one of the key things to look at the moment is we need to start talking about the things that we have within this beautiful city. And the only way is if we now create, just like as part of the presentation, we create, we have someone from the tourism industry who's part of this, who's as your CEC for tourism, who's specifically focusing on tourism. And you need to create a budget where even if you're able to represent Mombasa in 12 various international destinations, and I can assure you, today, as if we have the CC and the county government, Mombasa launches in a plan where we are going to visit every international destination for marketing, every stakeholder here will be up and running and will be ready to support you to be able to talk about Mombasa. Mheshimiwa, in summary, it's not rocket science if you're to grow tourism in this beautiful city. One of the key things that we're looking at is, first is open skies. The moment we have created an open sky policy, well, at the moment we have created open skies and we have airlines coming in, let's start looking at, whilst the open skies is coming in, we start looking at experiences and we get the infrastructure into place. And as long as we have the security and then the marketing happens across the various international destinations where we're able to showcase to people the various experiences that we have within this beautiful city, within a span of a year and a half or 2 years, you would see the fortunes of Mombasa changing. You talked about conference tourism, about creating Mombasa Conference Center. Again, so whilst the good thing is with leisure tourism, you are leaving it on people's choices. But with conference tourism, as an industry player, I have heavy investments personally within the Mombasa County. I have 2 beach resorts, and a lot of my facilities are focused on conference. Within conference tourism, in fact, conference tourism is one of the easiest markets to start tapping into. Personally, I have also tried to tap into international conferences. We have succeeded. Everything has been a tick box. The thing that has hindered large conferences, there was a conference for 1,500 people which were bidding to get into Mombasa. So that I was going to accommodate 200 people, and there were going to be a balance of hotels who were going to accommodate the rest. Everything was ticked. The industry, the conference organizers came in all the way from Paris into Mombasa. They came into Mombasa. But the moment they started planning their route into Mombasa and getting from the airport all the way to the hotel, the one thing they told me, Hasnain, we have a tick box for everything, but your accessibility and getting from the airport to the hotel is a nightmare. I'm sorry, I cannot put my delegates through this. That business went to Rwanda. And it was a conference of 1,500 people. Now, with a conference of 1,500, the amount of leisure tourism that comes in with the 1,500 because of the experiences, all right, it's phenomenal. And Mombasa is the only destination, or Kenya coast is the only destination where you can have breakfast by the beach, lunch at the bush in Savo, or at Chimba Hills, and you can literally come back for dinner at the beach again. That is the kind of experiences. Which other destination in the world can offer you this sort of benefits? But where do we talk about these benefits, Mheshimiwa? We don't, because we don't have a marketing team or someone within the county government who's specifically talking about the marketing within the destination. That's all I wanted to say, Mheshimiwa. Thank you very much.
That was 9 minutes. But one of the things that a lot of the people have spoken about here is passion. You see, people are speaking with passion because they want to see this county flourish. And Mheshimiwa, having grown here, you can do it. It is not rocket science, like he says, but we can do it. The experiences, and you've got a team here who is willing to come and support you, not only intellectually, but look at what Kato has said, that they will ensure they take their people at their cost, free of charge. So we've got a lot of people who want to support you. Okay, so, and this is commitment that they have come here to speak. I'd like you, it's one thing to talk about open skies. And I want Mohammed to come and just talk to you about open skies and just give you the kind of figures that we had and the figures we can do. So, Mohammed, please. Mohammed will take 49 minutes, so prepare. No, Mohammed, 9 minutes. 4 minutes. Yeah. He's got a whole document.
Thank you, Victor. I'll be quite brief. Mheshimiwa, I would like to welcome you once again to this forum for tourism players, and thank you for meeting us. We've been speaking in the past, and I'm glad that we've been able to call for this meeting. I do recall, we'll have even met much earlier, but other things, came up. Open skies, Patrick has touched on it very, very clearly, Hasnain as well, but let me just explain very quickly. Open skies is about accessibility, and if tourists and visitors are not able to get to a destination, then you don't exist. It's as simple as that. Open skies may not have been an issue some 15 years ago, because then Kenya Coast and Mombasa was mainly dependent on charter aircrafts, airlines. And it was led by African Safari Club that was feeding Mombasa, and you don't even have to market the destination. They had almost 15 hotels all the way from North Coast all the way to Watamu. And at the same time, then they will also feed Savo East and Savo West. Then suddenly, we started getting problems. Terrorism came in. Slowly, we started losing out, and then it became expensive to start putting in charters on this route. Nowadays, I'm in tours, and we also handle charters. For you to put a single charter in a destination, it's not costing anything less than $1.2 million. Nobody is willing to do that. TUI is our partners. TUI, being a big player after the collapse of Thomas Cook, are not able to put and take a risk to do it on their own to fly to Mombasa. So what were they doing? They have to partner with Rainbow, for instance, from Poland. Because nobody wants to take the risk to fly in an aircraft. You don't know you'll get your returns, etc. 2007 is what we consider to be the golden year of Kenya's tourism. At that time, Mheshimiwa, we were getting close to 39 charters landing in Mombasa until, of course, we misbehaved ourselves into a problem. They disappeared, but again, we built back. So by 2012, we started getting around 18 of them, 20 of them. We don't want to talk about the past. The past is gone. But now we have a replacement, which is scheduled airlines that are willing and eager to fly to Mombasa. If you spoke to the same airlines like Emirates some 15 years ago, they'll have said we are not flying to Mombasa because our image was not good. Fundamentalism, demos, name it. We didn't have a good name. But that has now all gone, and Mombasa, suddenly, people are looking at it in good light. But we have a problem, and we have a challenge. And the challenge is about licensing. Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, that we've all been blaming for a long time, actually don't license scheduled flights. Scheduled flights are controlled by the parent Ministry of Transport. Kenya Civil Aviation Authority control charters. If you get anybody today applying for a charter, they will approve, they have no issues. Now the challenge we have, as I explained to you the other day, is people who are trying to get a license to fly to Mombasa are being stopped, ostensibly to protect our national carrier. Let me make it clear that we are not against our national carrier. It is good, Mheshimiwa, that we have a national carrier. And we saw the importance of a national carrier during the COVID crisis, when we had to evacuate our own from different cities around the world to come back. Countries that didn't have national carriers had a lot of problems. But at the same time, it should operate properly. If Ethiopians can do it, why can't we also not do it? Kenya Airways and government of Kenya are very focused on Nairobi. They've clearly told us we want to develop Nairobi as a hub. Basically, Mombasa is being pushed to the periphery, which we really need to fight, and we also need to object to that. Why? Because when you look at South Africa, they had similar challenges. The city of Durban, which is a port city, very identical to Mombasa. They had crime, they had issues, drugs, and name it, and they were suffering. They invested in a convention center. Then they told South African government, look here, because they have something like close to Majimbo, they said, look here, open the skies for Durban. And Durban was opened. Ethiopian, Qatar, everybody is flying there. What has happened? MICE industry has just ballooned. Cape Town, same thing happened. Has it made South African Airways poorer? Not really necessarily. Our own national carrier, which is blocking others from coming to Mombasa, will fly from Nairobi, hop to Livingstone in Zim, and then again jump from there and go to Cape Town. They're busy enjoying open skies elsewhere, but they don't want others to come to Mombasa. Now, at the moment, I think we have a golden opportunity, Chairman and Mheshimiwa. A lot of infrastructure development has been done in Mombasa. I don't want to focus too much on what it is costing us. For me, I'm focusing on how can I use that infrastructure. And for tourism players today, we have fantastic infrastructure positioning Mombasa. And if you succeed being elected, you'll be inheriting a city that is waiting, to go places. The kind of infrastructure we're going to have is out of this world. But if there are no airlines landing at Moi International Airport, then it's pretty useless. Why am I saying it's a crucial moment? If I'm not wrong, next month, which is next week, there's a lot of focus on Mombasa because His Excellency would like to come and open Makupa, which we actually did not even know it was going to happen, but quickly they've built a beautiful bridge. I must commend national government for that. Now, our CS, Transport, has been talking about KLM, he's talking about Turkish. The fact that he's talking about it, it means the message has reached them. So, Mheshimiwa, as the Member of Parliament and future governor, you need to come in very strongly. The leadership at the coast and Mombasa have overly focused on the ports. Yet, tourism in the old good days, 60% of Kenya's tourism will actually come out of Mombasa. Today, because tourism is not doing well, just look at our Kenya shilling. It's been beaten, battered, to the point that we even have now two markets, a black market and a formal market, which is very unfortunate. If tourism today was kicking, Mheshimiwa, our shilling will not have suffered. So what we wish to see from you, and it is quick win, is to get Qatar to be allowed to come back. Then Turkish Airlines, they were flying, they had a license to fly 7 flights Nairobi, 7 flights Mombasa pre-COVID. When COVID, we reopened, for some reason, government gave them only 7. And they were told 7 into Kenya. How you're going to separate Nairobi, Mombasa, it's your problem. Now, Mheshimiwa, flying to a destination less than 4 flights, it's pretty useless because airlines, you have to keep them minimum 48 hours to rest, which means you have to accommodate them in a 4-star or a 5-star hotel. So what has Turkish Airlines done? They said it's not worth our time. We better use the 7 flights for Nairobi. That is how Mombasa has lost out. KLM are eager to fly, to come to Mombasa. Now, when you look at Turkish Airlines is flying to 127 countries in the world, connecting Mombasa to 327 cities. Germany alone, they are flying to not less than 14 cities. So you can leave the smallest village in Germany and say, I am going to Mombasa. You don't have to go to Nairobi because you have no business in Nairobi. And people would like to come to Mombasa. In the good old days, Germans will say, I'm going to Mombasa. They have no idea. They are not even interested to know about the rest of Kenya. Applies to the French, applies to everybody else. So Mombasa should not be allowed to play second fiddle to Nairobi, because Mombasa has an economy to look after. Mombasa is the gateway to East Africa and many other factors. And not only tourism. We engaged Kenya Flower Council. They actually do not have cargo space to fly flowers, to fly vegetables, and name it. Can you imagine, because even Nairobi is suffering with this same thing, these guys are willing to to drive their cargo all the way to Mombasa and use space if, let's say, KLM was to come to Mombasa today. So our ask, when you meet His Excellency the President, a man you speak to often, KLM, Turkish, Qatar, all these guys should get their licenses, including Air Arabia, and Mombasa will start kicking. Overnight, we will get not less than 37 scheduled flights. And let me tell you, Mombasa will kick once again. I think my focus is open skies, and it should happen. And let me also tell you this, Kenya Airways should not be worried. How can you claim you've lost something you've never had? If you've not been flying to Germany, you're not flying to you're not flying to Manchester, you're not flying to London from Mombasa, how can you say you've lost? In Swahili, they say, joka la mdimu. You get a snake that lives on a lemon tree, you protect that lemon tree, but you're not partaking that lemon. That's exactly how our national carrier is behaving. Thank you very much, Chairman. And I wish you good luck with my brother Francis Toya in the elections, and we look forward to work with you guys. Thank you.
Mheshimiwa, you've had it all. You've had facts being given. You've had commitment to support you. Like I said, I know who our governor is coming in, and it's for 10 years. So you've got a lot on your plate. I'd now like to ask you to come in and respond. And guys, know that after this, there is dinner that has been reserved for you. Mimi naweza chukua take away. Ndio Governor mtarajiwa.
I hope I'm going to be extremely brief. However, considering all the issues that you have raised, you will need to lend me your ears. Now, one, the issue of the Kenya Wildlife Service, how levies can be charged legally are in two ways. One, if it's an act of parliament. Two, if it's a regulation. The Constitution of Kenya, and then there's the act that talks about delegated legislation. So what basically happens is, in the event that KWS or any other entity wishes to start charging any levy, they first have to gazette it, and then in the process of that, they need to bring it to Parliament, where it goes through the Committee on Delegated Legislation. Unfortunately, Parliament is already closed. So that means we have no sessions, we cannot be able to debate or anything. However, it's a challenge you have already given me. We cannot, because you see, the problem that is going to be there is if they start charging it, reversing it is going to be extremely difficult. So the best way out is to stop them before they start. And there's some things that can be able to wait until we're governors. Some things cannot be able to wait. So I'm going to take the challenge by tomorrow to confirm with the legal section of Parliament who I still do get in touch with them on a day-to-day basis on a number of matters to confirm what is the legal status on this. Two, this is the part that I really fail to understand. And it's really unfortunate, but our intention is very simple. The economy of Mombasa has to be revived. The bottom line of our conversation should be about reviving the economy of Mombasa. I want to give you an example. According to Instagram's analysis, one of the largest social media platforms today, one of the major reasons why people travel is for the opportunity to be able to take a picture, the opportunity to be able to showcase. Forget about anything else. Do we want to consider existing drug rehabilitation centers to be empowered? In the process of empowering them as well, supply reduction can only be done with the police. Me and you have no power to reduce supply reduction. But demand reduction is where the county government will come in very, very heavily by going out there and speaking, getting peer educators to talk to these children at a very young age, training them, teaching them, rehabilitating those who've already been exposed and were once victim of drug abuse.
Kwa Mungu Baba, Mungu Baba, kiongozi tumeletewa toka kwa Mungu Baba, Abdulswamadi, kijana mchapa kazi, anaweza kuwakilisha Mombasa. Gavana wetu ni wewe, gavana wetu ni wewe, gavana wetu ni wewe, kiongozi wetu ni wewe, kiongozi wetu ni wewe.
So we want to build the county attorney's office, strengthen it, and have a department of public litigation. In that particular department, we will need a lot of people who will come. And I'm only giving you an example of one of the departments that will be involved. And all this will be rated based on your performance. So if you've been called on attachment, it's only fair that if you don't perform, we merit the one who performed, isn't it? So there'll be a performance-based arrangement where if they're able to perform, we are going to... When I read an article, the first thing I did, I sent it to you and I called you about this when Turkish Airlines, it was about Turkish Airlines. My belief as well is that we need to have an open sky in Mombasa. We'll go out of our way. What we intend to do, and it is a suggestion that has come from yourselves, and I now give our commitment that we will do that as well. What we had intended to do in regards to the health, we are setting up a health task force. The health task force, its role is that within a certain period of time to give recommendations to the governor's office on various issues like this particular hospital would be best suited to do this, these are the number of doctors you need, these are the number of nurses you need, clinical officers. Then with that, we use that as a basis for us to now look at our budgets. We want to do something similar, because the ideas that are coming in here, we cannot be able to automatically just come up and say that these are the immediate solutions. So we'll come up with a nice lean team amongst yourselves that will be more of a tourism task force that will then make the necessary recommendations on what we should do immediately, what we should do intermediary, and what we should do for purposes of long term on the same. And regarding the matters of licenses, we've even gone further. All of you are hoteliers here, a number of you at least are hoteliers, and some of you deal with the hotel industry. And you know that to capture some of the best clientele, your hotels have concierge services. We are going to do something similar. We're actually going to have a desk called an ease of doing business desk. When I say a desk, it does not necessarily mean it is one table, but it's going to be a department that will be domiciled at the governor's office. This is how important we are looking at reviving Mombasa's economy. Once we have been able to do that, these are young people active with the will and heart of Mombasa, then it is easier for you to tell us that, we're getting so many problems getting this and this and this license. And all these people will be on performance based. That means at the end of every quarter, they have to give a report how many business they actually helped in thriving. That is what it is that we're looking at. An idea that just was floated over right now regarding the tourism catering levy. The tourism fund is a state corporation. The function of this particular state corporation, it is actually a national state corporation, is the 2% that is collected as a tourism levy is meant to, for purposes of reinvestment back into the tourism industry. So these are very, very different. You cannot be able to mix the tourism fund and the county. So we cannot say that. However, the law allows for us to be able to identify a collector. And in this instance, for argument's sake, we put in a liquor licensing board whose role will be to say that these are the areas, demarcate the areas that should be able to sell liquor and so on. We can be able to request the tourism fund to be a collector. Ultimately, you can never be good at everything. You can't be good at setting up policies. Then at the same time, you depend on your own department to be an excellent revenue collector. Then at the same time, you want to be the one to implement and all this. So we need to literally positively look at ways of giving some responsibilities to others, whether it is going to be the Kenya Revenue Authority, and ask them, this is what we want you to do to be able to be, these are the figures that we're expecting. So in terms of good governance, we have to seal loopholes. When you seal loopholes, we're looking at saving the county at least 30% from what would have gone as wastage and pilferage. And of course, some of it going into people's pockets. So these are some of the suggestions and ideas that we're definitely looking at doing. I'm more than willing to have a look at the beach management bill that you have talked. I think one thing that caught my ear was the fact that you said there's going to be source of revenue there. We want to look at it, but at the same time, we don't want to hurt anyone. Our intention, it is not the role of government to make money. A role of government is to facilitate the lives of its citizens to become better than the way it was. Let's just get that very, very clear. When any government talks about putting up any levy, any tax, or anything else, it should only be for purposes of facilitating its constitutional obligations, whether it is water, it is the drainage system, whatever it is that is there. This is where the levies need to come in. However, at the end of the year, a government should not be looking at its audited accounts and saying that, oh, by the way, congratulations, we now have so much money and you don't have anyone to pay the dividends to. Our role is to actually facilitate the lives of people to be better, to make Mombasa thrive. And this is what we want to do. I heard so much about the issue of garbage collection, the water, and the sewer system. one of the first things that we will be floating is an expression of interest for those who will want to partner with Mombasa in regards to not just garbage collection, because then that becomes a toll on Mombasa, but considering setting up acceptable recycling plants. Mombasa needs to look at every single obstacle as an opportunity, every single challenge to be something that we can be able to turn into positivity. So look at ways, can we be, and by the way, when I was in the National Assembly, one of the things that we've been able to pass before I finished my tenure was that for renewable energy, green energy, you can actually now be able to say that you're supplying that energy without having to necessarily pass through Kenya Power. So imagine if Mombasa County can be able to come up with an investor and say that we're producing power, we've got the capacity to be able to bring in, to come out with recyclable paper, plastic, whatever it is. But then just that element of power is supplied back to you as the hotels, and the hotels start using clean, green energy. It is doable. It is very, very doable. The other issues, of course, is the matters of water. In other parts of the world, you've got prepaid electronic cards that you don't even, 22% of all the taps in Mombasa are the ones that are getting water from Mombasa Water. That means 78% are either getting it from water vendors or from boreholes. I don't need to stress this even further enough on how that is affecting the environment and the ecosystem of Mombasa, because you can imagine every single person is digging boreholes left, right, and center. And there's some things that you cannot even stop because water is life. People will need that water. However, we do have to now start saying that. And by the way, another fact that is clear, water from water vendors and borehole water actually is more expensive than Mombasa water per cubic meter. And the only reason why people are buying it is because where else are they going to get that water from? So you have that, and these are the first things we're going to float out, expression of interest. Again, the county government cannot be the one to say that they're going to do everything. We will need to have stakeholders to come on board and to be able to assist us in this. The liquor licensing board, by all means, that is going to be something that is going to be up and running. A commitment that I've already given is something else, that a certain percentage that is collected from the liquor licensing shall go into purposes of rehabilitation. We all know that we have a problem of drug and drug abuse. A certain percentage of whatever is collected from the liquor licensing will be ring-fenced for purposes of rehabilitating our youth. We need to have that, and to also include it in coming up with outreach programs. That means continuously talking to these youth that they should not get into such kind of vices. So this is something that is going to be extremely important to me. The training of the beach operators. As a member of parliament, I had a program called Skills Mitaani, which worked extremely well. You come in and you choose the vocational training that you wish to have. I live constituency where I've been able to train about 11,000 people on any vocational subject of their own choice, their own, if this is what it is that they want to do. And we know how vital and a game changer this is. So we intend to include training of the beach operators through the same program of Skills Mitaani. I heard the issue of many people wanting to do with attachments and job and everything. What we intend to do, our unemployment rate is extremely high. It is truly extremely high. And what we intend to do is come up with what is called a job placement database. Then that means it's so easy for Whitesands, for any other hotel, to be able to tap in and see what is the skilled labor, what is the white collar possibilities of people, blue collar possibilities of our young people that you wish, if if you prefer the person to be a female because of the job that they'll be doing, or a man because of the job that they'll be doing. Not that I'm saying that I'm being gender insensitive, but we'll categorize this in a proper job placement database. And we are hoping that if we are going to make your lives easy, we are hoping that in turn, the least that can be done is employ our youth. We are truly, truly banking on everyone. I'm meeting all stakeholders, and I'm giving my commitments, but in the hope that once I do these levels of commitments, that it is our youth who are going to be employed. I have no problem in someone telling me that they're bringing in some youth from Nairobi or from Tanzania or wherever, but at least justify why the youth from Mombasa cannot and should not be employed as a priority first. It is only fair that if we're going to make life easy for everyone, then make the youth as well be employed. Then I think the issue of, there's some things I think the industry should partake to be on the forefront, like the monthly beach cleanups. If the industry partakes to be on the forefront on this, we will be able to support you on the same. There's the issue of establishing a tourism information and resource center. By all means, I think, again, let us not reinvent wheels. If whatever is already existing, let us provide you with what is needed, so that we don't have to start saying that, the private sector has its own, then the public sector has its own, and we're duplicating our efforts, whereby if our efforts were actually joined, it would work way, way better. And lastly, I think, well, not lastly, there's the issue of pending bills. I recently met with lawyers, and this is what I told them. When we go in, we would rather be remembered as people who spoke the truth. With the current level of pending bills, it is literally going to be, let's just call it the way it is. We cannot just come in and say that you're paying all bills. But what we can say is that I intend for the Finance Department to follow the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act to the letter. That means if you do not have money, don't purchase. That is what the law says. If you do not have the money, don't ask for the service. Unless the money is going to be there, or even if it is not currently there, but it has already been budgeted for, and you're anticipating that by this amount of time that money is going to be in the account. So the first thing that we will have to do is all these pending bills that are going to be there, we're going to have to pile them up and then come up with a payment plan. There are a certain amount, it's the only way, because we also need to leave a legacy that we were able to do A, B, C, and D. We cannot leave a legacy of just having paid pending bills, isn't it? So whatever it is that is currently pending, we will come up with a payment plan and tell you that we are requesting you, let us do this. However, moving forward, whatever it is that is due, we will commit ourselves to pay it as and when it is due. There was the issue of the Old Town in the Akamba. We recently had a meeting with Akamba. How important we feel that industry is, the ones who make the sculptures and everything. First thing we've already committed to doing. These guys had penalties and because of land rates, and you can imagine they didn't do any business during COVID. So we've already committed to waive those penalties during the COVID period. It's a commitment we've actually already given to waive penalties on license fees as well for those people who own market stalls in county markets, and equally to private schools, because these schools were closed as well And some of these guys right now, and all that is happening is you're just getting people going there to demand for money at every single time, and then they have to part away with 2,000 and 3,000. It's not the Mombasa that we really want. Let's give everyone that encouragement that, we're giving you a fresh lease of life so you can be able to see what needs to be done. Now, I've heard so much whilst I was here. Tourism by definition, a layman's definition, would be to get in people to come into your town, your city, your county. But then how you're going to get them to come there, the reason why you want them to come there, could be so many. Countries like India and Turkey right now are so heavy on medical tourism. You've got mice as a way of tourism. Then we've got the old age tourism that Mombasa has been known for, where people can just, the way it used to be. And now, this is a challenge to yourselves as well. What can we be able to do to make you so different from everyone else? And the way that I see this, Mombasa should not even be marketed as the Mombasa of old. Mombasa should be marketed as whatever you want Mombasa to be, it will be. That means if you want to come to Mombasa and your choice is a cultural destination, we will take you to the old town. We will give you the Swahili food that is there and everything else. If you want to come to Mombasa for purposes of it being a conference facility, if you look at our manifesto as well, one of the first things we want to consider doing, and we're not limiting and we're not tying our hands with just those two, but the first two that we've identified is the Kenya Ports Authority Pension Scheme and KICC, that we come up with a conference facility. Once we have been able to do that, again, the role of county is not to make money, but once that has been put up, you can imagine how many of your beds are going to be occupied. And it is doable, it is achievable. No one would want to go to a conference at a place where they're confined in the cold. Every single person believes in going into a conference where they can be able to now, after they've done their presentations, to go out and enjoy the sunshine, to go out and enjoy the beaches and everything else. People want to come to a place where they've finished their conferences. They can easily get a van and take them all the way to Savo, to Shimba Hills. And another thing that Mombasa has that is so beautiful, and this is just, it is what it is. We're right in the middle of everything, We're right in the middle. So we can be a destination of choice for whatever it is that people want us to be able to deliver for them. We can be able to do it. We give our commitment that we are actually going to be doing all these things. I've heard a lot of other issues that have been, I would call them extremely radical changes for us to consider. But we equally, it is not even about revenue. The people who are driving the tuk-tuks, it is not just about revenue to the county, because when I met them as well as stakeholders, they were also complaining about them paying too much levies, which we will have to now start seeing and considering and everything else. But it is about livelihood. The issues that we are looking at is coming up with and culminating the whole of our problems with solutions. Because you have to understand that the reason why someone is using a tuk-tuk, a boda-boda, a matatu, or anything else is because there's a demand for it. So we now need to start thinking beyond that. What if, and these are the things that we want to do. Ports, ferries, and harbors are currently devolved. Can you imagine if we are able to set up a pontoon or a ramp, and we ask whoever it is that wants to invest, that listen, you have a market here for transporting people. That means people can actually be able to board a ferry from Twapa and they can be sent all the way to town. We have to look at things in the bigger perspective of things. Naturally, that will automatically cut down the traffic on our roads. Another interesting issue was talked about is the Kongowea market. We were there just last Saturday. This market is totally underutilized. I'll tell you why it's underutilized. You can imagine it's what, two floors? And you're asking people to carry their wares. It's 4 stories. Yes. You're asking them to carry their wares up, and there's no elevator, and someone has to carry a sack of potatoes to take them up. Then you're getting someone who wants to come and buy and telling them go all the way up and then carry it down. So we've got assets that are being underutilized. So we need to now consider on such kind of ideas that have been able to be brought by yourselves. Then I think the other issue that came in is involvement of women in government. You can be rest assured it's not just involvement in women in government alone. It's actually supporting our women. We're looking at, in fact, I think, and I know whenever I say this out there, but one of the things that we want to and we will be doing is coming up with what is called a second chance program. We've got too many single mothers out there, and having a baby should not be a reason for a woman to suffer in life. So these are the things that we have already in place, that if someone needs to go back to school, let them go back to school. If someone is someone who can be able to finish their university degree, let them finish their university degree. And a revolving fund as well. I'm insisting on this being a revolving fund because then that means the investment by the county government on an annual basis decreases. A revolving fund to be able to assist people who are women in business, the youth in business, people with disability. That means if you take 10 shillings, you don't have to return 15, like what is going on with the Fuliza loans and everything. The figures are actually mind-blogging in the amount of money that people are actually borrowing right now. So we want to come up with this fund, and we will be looking at stakeholders and friends as well, and tell them, why don't you come on board and support us in this? We want to have something that is going to be truly open and transparent, and it is going to go down all the way to grassroots level. So the issue of women is not just going to be appointment. It is going to be appointment and supporting the women of this county. I think I've said, I've probably answered everything that has been raised by yourselves. Lastly, Snein talked about the road from the airport. And then Mohammed actually put the icing on the cake. We've been blessed that during our tenure, all these have already, ours is now to see how we're going to maximize usage of those. So that means, hasten the process of finalizing it. Whatever needs to be done should be done. I don't want to hear of a situation whereby someone is telling me that we're not going to have tourists because of Kibarani, because now the road is as good as, they're going to be finishing it very, very soon. I had raised these matters in Parliament, and I know one of the major reasons why that road delayed was because of previous regimes' poor planning, unfortunately. You can imagine they dig up, and then after digging up, they realize that, oops, there's water pipes down here. Then they dig somewhere else, they realize, oh dear Lord, we've just gone and done some other damages. So people were doing things, but what is most important is that it has been finalized. And then also, the first contractor who had been given this contract was unable to finish it. They had to then change these contractors. But like you said, our interest is not to go back. Our interest is now to say that where we are, how can we be able to make things better? So I think the challenge that I will take up immediately is two. One is the issue of the open skies, and the other issue is the issue of the Kenya Wildlife Service. You have my word on it, so by all means. So I want to thank you once again. It's been interesting, it's been informative to be able to sit with all of you. Nothing is cast in stone. Whatever it is, whatever suggestions, this is an industry that is fluid in the sense that every single day ideas will be able to come up, and other ideas will be able to be better and better than what was yesterday. But do realize that one of the first things that we will be doing is coming up with a tourism task force whose mandate will be to advise the governor's office on reviving the issues of tourism. So thank you very much, and asanteni sana. Thank you, really. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much. We'll not have much Q&A because we've already had our issues. We've elaborated, and Honorable has really explained so much. So we just have one event before we leave. I'd request the chairman and our board members to come in front here, and also the DG candidates and the gubernatorial candidates, Chairman KHC, so that we can present all that we have said. Ishpal, come with the document. And then after that, we'll have Mr. Nudin to give vote of thanks. Then we can just break for dinner. Francis, you'll advise us where to go. So, Mohammed, please come.
Whereas we don't want to take too much time, unless there is a very burning question that was left out, that somebody, just as people come, that wanted to ask directly to our incoming governor. Oh, okay. I will allow 2 questions. 3 questions. I'll do this.
30 seconds, please.
Nala?
No. Your Honor, when is the road from Mombasa to Mtwapa going to be upgraded?
That is road to Mombasa to Mtwapa.
Yes. Mheshimiwa, I wanted to ask, especially the schools are closing in Europe very soon, and this is what we call normally the peak season, 3 or 4 months of good business. And this is the best time we need charters or scheduled flights to be allowed to land into Mombasa. So we are actually time bad. You have already promised us, but my question is, do you have a timeline within which we can know and say, okay, the transport minister has said yes or no to these flights? What kind of timelines do we expect? So that then I can ask Victor, what did Mheshimiwa say about the flight? Did he succeed or not? Kindly give us a timeline. Thank you.
No more questions, huh? Yes. Okay. That's the second last one. No more.
Thanks so much. On the issue of trash on the Mombasa beaches, it's really severe. And as much as I oppose the fees instituted by Kenya Wildlife Service, I can say that Mombasa Marine Park collects 1 ton of trash every single month. That's a lot of trash. they don't have anywhere to put it. So they pile it on the entryways to the beaches, which doesn't benefit anybody. And it is a county responsibility, actually, to keep the beaches clean. The county has been absent. I've been working on this issue for 10 years. And so I really encourage the county to come together with all the tourism stakeholders to create an environment where it is actually clean on our beaches. Thank you.
Mine is not a question. It's as much as we want all this to happen, I believe, being the political time and about 40 days or so to go, I believe we are going to agree to give you our votes so that all this can happen when you get in. Thank you.
I said that it's going to be the governors. Here it is.
All right, the Mombasa to Mtwapa road is actually a road that belongs, there's 4 categories of roads, actually 5. There's the Kenya National Highway Authority, then there's the roads that belong to Kenya Urban Roads Authority, then there's the Kenya Rural Roads Authority, then there's the roads that belong to the county government, and then the 5th category of roads actually belong to the parks. All the parks, the roads in the parks. The fuel levy, the road fuel levy, that every time that we pay fuel, there's, I think it's, I stand to be corrected, I don't want to be quoted on this figure, but I think it's at about 18 shillings per litre goes to the, and then from there, the Kenya Roads Board then disseminates that money to the different agencies. So I know that this is a Kenha Road, Kenya National Highway Authority. It is not under the county governments, but I'm equally aware that they've already allocated money for this. So I might not know exactly when they will be starting, but I know, yes, and the contractor has already been awarded on this. So, but I can ask. I can ask. The issue of the timeline, unfortunately, if had they been under my desk, I would have given you a definite timeline. However, this is something that is subject to an outgoing government. Now, in anything based on my experience, teams that are outgoing can have 2 effects. They can either be very effective or they can be less effective than how they usually are. But it is something that I will definitely raise. I will actually formally write. What I would request, Victor and I think Mohammed and Asnain are the ones who raise this, so you'll decide amongst yourself, is to just give me an indication that these are the airlines that have actually, and whether I can be able to get a copy of any of the applications, then we use that to have a bit of political push as well, because some of these things are actually political decisions. Unfortunately, I will not be able to give you a timeline, but I will definitely let them know that I've talked to these people immediately. I've been able to get those particular documents. The issue on the trash at the beach, like I said, the matters to do with garbage collection, we have to look at it in the whole holistic approach. That includes our beaches and our roads and our homes and our businesses as well. So we cannot look at it in terms of just the beach. And then, and I'm repeating this again, we cannot be masters of everything. We need to say that we have people whose job is to do this. What are other countries in the world doing? What are other countries that have beaches, they have the port, they have the busy CBDs? What are they doing about garbage collection? Should we imitate or should we make it way, way better? So, but I can assure you of one thing. However it is going to be, during our tenure, we do not intend to have garbage on the roads or on the streets or on the beaches as well. And lastly, about the vote, I actually had not even asked you for my vote, but thank you for your confidence. My intention is very simple. I don't want to be a one-term governor. As a matter of fact, I've said this, and I've said this when I'm out at the public as well. My job is not to win the elections. That is the voter's job. My vote is only one, and probably Francis is gonna, in terms of us as a duo, we'll vote for ourselves. Then after the two of us, the rest is all dependent on all of you. And that means those who are in this room and those who are outside as well. Our role and our job will start from 9th. That is when our job will start. The manifesto that we've presented to you is going to be our commitment and our pledge, so that come 2027, probably in a seated in somewhere else, because this hotel will be packed with tourists and they will have to look for another venue or whatever it is, then you can judge me and tell me that, human beings are judged by two things. They're judged by what you say, but equally what you say is judged on, usually when you say what you say, do you usually deliver or not? And I've been a member of parliament for 10 years, and I believe my track record speaks for itself. So I do intend to deliver to the needs of the people of Mombasa. So thank you very much, and be blessed. Asanteni sana. Yes.
We can remove this.
I have so many
ODM ndio chama, Baba Raila Odinga, ushawaka cheche, tegemea unapambana, Deputy Francis Toya, basa mwamtaka nani? Vita mwamtaka nani? Atusamando gavana, Nyali mwamtaka nani? Atusamando gavana.
RKO King Melody.
Wendo kiongozi bora, unejua kuishi nasi na sio kubagua. Tumekuchagua ni wewe gavana, aele kuitegwa ya kishua, kama uvyaloipata mashua. Tumeshaamua Abdulswamad gavana, ujui kutetereka, weni ngangari, kwako kura tunaweka, tuko tayari. Hao wanakereka, si tupo shwari. 2022 wewe ndio gavana. Abdulswamad Mombasa yeuka, hiwa mawazo yende maendeleo, uchumi undazidi, uweni kura kare gavana. Kazi umetenda wena, bado hatuna wasi wetu kogado, na gavana wetu ado wakiumwa wakameze panado. Abdulswamad ni gavana, we unamanya kupambana, hata harachi kukana, situko nawe pasana. Abdulswamad ni gavana, we unamanya kupambana, hata harachi kukana, situko nawe pasana. Changamwe Likoni tunakushabikia, Sauni na Nyali tumeshawekania, bili yako Mvita Baraka na Jomvu tumekuandalia, Mombasa nzima tumekuhifadhi.